They say Battlefield 6 has no progression. They said it has no movement, and they said it needs to be changed. And I agree, but I'm also wrong. And we're gonna talk more about why I'm wrong, but also why, even though this game isn't perfect, I keep coming back to it. First, I made a video the other day about my first 48 hours of Battlefield 6. I spent that time immersing myself into the game, trying less to compare it and play it like it was Call of Duty. Coming from a Call of Duty player like myself, that was hard, but I ended up rating my experience a good 7.5 out of 10, with my main problems with the game being the lack of progression and lack of movement. And that was it. I uploaded the video thinking I'd be completely done with Battlefield. The next day I booted up Call of Duty and I was at my setup about to hit the go live button when I realized I didn't want to play COD. I wanted to play Battlefield. Even after I criticized its lack of movement and lack of progression, I wanted to hop back on the game. I realized I had seen some clips of streamers using weapons I hadn't unlocked yet with attachments I hadn't unlocked yet, and I wanted to try those classes out for myself. Even though there isn't much movement and the bloom is making my gunfights imperfect, I couldn't fight the itch to hop back on the game. So I closed Call of Duty, and even knowing I would have way less viewers than I would have if I was playing COD, I started my stream on Battlefield 6. And then I surprised myself by doing the same thing the next stream, and the next, and the next. So what exactly did I get all wrong about Battlefield 6? To start, I said there's no progression. And the part of this I'll stand by is that the mastery camo is horrible. Like, to even call it a camo, to be completely honest, is offensive. But part of what kept me coming back to Battlefield is that there was always something that I wanted to unlock. Whether it's a class challenge to get a new weapon, or leveling up a weapon to get a new attachment, or even just leveling up in general to get new items, I'm not quite done with the game yet, and I feel like I still have so much more to earn. The crazy part of all of this is my ADHD Call of Duty brain is still comparing all of these in the context of small map modes. I didn't realize until today that there are complete leveling systems and rewards for simply piloting the different vehicles. Like, that's an entire skill in itself just waiting to be learned. And I know if my simple Call of Duty self can enjoy these simple unlocking progression systems, the diehard Battlefield fans must be absolutely loving the game in its current state. But another thing that I got wrong was the movement. It is frustrating as someone that enjoys having movement in video games to go to a game that doesn't support that play style. From my experience, it felt like something was missing, especially trying to slide, jump, and bunny hop. But I understand now that that's simply what makes Battlefield Battlefield. And it's not worth changing the identity of a game just because my preferences are for more of an arcade shooter style. Plus, there are still some ways to make movement work in your favor, like if you're in close enough range to hip fire. So that's something that I'm learning as well. But let me quickly rapid fire a few things that I don't think are wrong with Battlefield, more like slight annoyances. We did talk about the progression, how I felt like I was wrong initially, but the speed of the leveling, I get that, like I said, progression is important and the challenges are important, but does the leveling have to be so slow? Like, I've played hours and hours using the MP5 and still don't have it at max level. I know it's a difficult thing to balance, but I think a little bit faster, at least on the attachment unlocking, would be great. Limited ammo is another annoying aspect of Battlefield 6. I understand that that makes the support role more meta and more important as you can drop ammo for your teammates, but I still feel like it's too low. I spend all this extra time leveling up my weapons and getting the right class just to only get 5 kills before running out of ammo. After that, I have to find someone else's class on the ground just to have enough ammo to stay in the fight. It should at the very least be easy to resupply from enemies that you take out. At least that way would reward you for staying in the fight, getting kills, and pushing forward. I can agree that if you stay in one position, you shouldn't be able to have unlimited ammo, but if you're moving around the map, you're getting kills and pushing past them, you should be able to pick up ammo fairly quickly and continue to stay in the fight if that's what you're looking for. Also, some of the maps seem so random and include areas that feel incredibly useless, like doors that lead to nowhere and rooms that lead to nowhere. And all of these things come together to promote a very camping play style. And that's another annoyance of mine and some of the players that feel inclined to sit in corners. I guess I don't blame them because the game is rewarding that with all the points that I mentioned before, which brings me to another slight annoyance right now, which is the footstep audio. It's in a very weird spot for Battlefield 6 because it feels loud but also quiet at the same time. Like, you can hear that people are around you, but it's pretty hard to pinpoint exactly where they're coming from. And I feel like the game either needs to go all in one direction where the footsteps are loud enough for you to be able to hear and accurate enough for you to be able to pinpoint where they're coming from, or they need to be toned down and more on the quiet side, because footsteps, especially if there's no way to quiet them down, only further promote that camping play style that I was talking about earlier. If your footsteps are loud and then you get heard and then you get taken out, the majority of players next time will just opt to sit in a corner and wait for somebody else to start moving. But like I said, all of those that I just mentioned are more slight annoyances. If they don't get changed in Battlefield 6, it's not the end of the world. But now I want to talk about what I didn't get wrong about Battlefield 6. what I feel like absolutely needs to be changed. The bloom, that's gotta go, or at least get majorly toned down. I can agree that from like 800 meters, you shouldn't be able to hit every shot while full spraying with an SMG. But if I'm using an AR on any small map, I shouldn't be able to notice bloom. That's end of discussion. If I'm on target in AR range, like mid to long-ish range, I should be rewarded for that. And as strongly as I feel about this, I'm actually genuinely interested to hear the standpoint from those that are okay with bloom how it is in the game right now. So if that's you, please enlighten me in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm genuinely wanting to know what it's there for. Up next is the camos. It wouldn't take much to make these better and add more of a grind and reward to the progression of the game as it is. I don't need dark matter. I don't need animated craziness, but we do need to do better than this as a mastery camo. I think camos are great to lean into as well because it's strictly personal preference. It's something that you can opt into using or not using. So if you end up going too far with a camo, you're not going to piss off the majority of the Battlefield player base. At least I don't think you will, because you can just choose not to use them. And the final thing I don't think that I have wrong about Battlefield 6 is the damn settings. If it takes me an hour and a half to go through these settings and finally make the game feel playable, especially on controller, then I'm afraid the default game is not well optimized. I hate to make the comparison again, but I have to. Call of Duty, as many settings as it also has, feels better on default settings than Battlefield does on optimized settings. Like, something has to change there. And to wrap everything up today, I feel like I should end with some definite positives for Battlefield 6. I talked about initially negative things that went wrong. I talked about slight annoyances, and then I talked about things that Battlefield actually did get wrong. That being said, there are a lot of definite positives that contribute to keeping me coming back to the game. The first definite positive, at least for me, is the weapons. All the weapons look incredible, and they also feel unique enough to where it's not just a reskin of a full auto weapon a bunch of times over and over again. Again, they look great, they're recognizable, and the fact that I love the feel of each of the weapons that I've used so far makes me more and more excited to level up and unlock more weapons down the road. Specifically right now, the feel of the MP5 has been fantastic for me. The two other SMGs that I have unlocked so far, I think one of them is the NP7, and I don't remember the name of the other ones, like the SPX or something. They also feel great in their own way, but I'm really looking forward to unlocking the P90 and trying out that. And just me looking forward to using more weapons in general, I mean, that goes all the way back to the beginning. We're talking about the reward for progressing to unlock more weapons and attachments and stuff like that. And especially in a first-person shooter, that is probably the most important place to start, and Battlefield killed it. Continuing on from the weapons, the next definite positive is the kills and the animations. They feel incredibly satisfying in Battlefield. The sound of the hit markers, the sound of headshots, the animations that pop up when you do get kills, it all is very positive feedback to reward getting kills in the game, and definitely something that keeps me coming back. And what could possibly be the best thing that Battlefield has going for it right now is the look, the style, and the immersion. I was actually running around last night before I recorded this video trying to get thumbnails. And normally when I'm trying to get a thumbnail in Call of Duty, it has to be like a specific frame of a sprint or a specific frame of an inspection in a specific part of the map. But looking through this footage, I could pause at any point and immediately get a thumbnail that I'm happy with. Like, this game looks incredible. It looks so cinematic. The colors are bright without being too poppy or too arcadey. It still feels grounded and realistic. That is one of the things they absolutely crushed with Battlefield 6. Not to mention when you get into the big maps and modes, it still stays colorful enough to be visually pleasing, but realistic enough to be super immersive when there's like jets flying by you and you're running past a tank or something like that. But anyways, let me know what you think of Battlefield 6 and all of the crazy things that I yapped about today in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you next time at lunchtime.